In today's pod, Sumeet, Barjinder, and Shashank join me to recap the Phoenix Suns' Game 2 victory of the 2021 NBA Finals over the Milwaukee Bucks. We cover game plan, player performances, and current Laker drama, as well as Chris Paul's playoff milestones and the NBA's surprising increase in finals viewership. I'm Param, and this, Operation 6. All right, so we just finished watching Game 2 of the NBA Finals. Suns took it 118 to 108.
What a game! What a game!
That game
Huge
was
game. Book CP3's 2 wins away, man. 2 wins away from his ring. 16 years.
Definitely deserves it.
Definitely
100%.
deserves it.
This is a really good spot for the Suns, bro. Really commanding 2-0 lead. This is what they want going into Bucks home court.
I feel like this game was a lot better for Giannis specifically, not for the Bucks, but for Giannis because the role players really struggled at this point. Like, I don't know.
Giannis carried heavy, man. In the last podcast we were talking about it, and we were all saying that Giannis wasn't aggressive enough, and he completely flipped that on its head today. He had 42 off the top of my head.
Yeah, 42,
42
rebounds.
Yeah.
42, 12, 4 assists, 3 blocks. No chase downs this time, but he dominated in every way you could imagine, and they still came up short.
We also mentioned last pod that Drew Holiday has to be more aggressive. I feel like today he was a bit too aggressive. And he was
more aggressive, definitely. He got to the bucket, and even despite the aggressiveness, I think he missed three layups point blank, and then one of the fourth one he missed, he got fouled on it, but it's still an easy finish. And you can't be missing in the NBA Finals. You can't leave 8. They lost by 10 points. You can't leave 8 points on the board.
Yeah. Speaking of points, let's talk about Miles Bridges getting all those threes.
Huge game.
That was a crazy game. See,
27.
There's a big difference between the Bucks and the Suns in another factor because the Bucks' third leading scorer was Pat Connaughton, and their second leading scorer was Drew Holiday, but it was inefficient, right? But then you look at the Suns, all of their scorers were efficient as hell, right? Because Booker came through, Paul came through, and then Bridges was an addition to that. But
Bridges shot 15 shots on the night, had 27 points on 15 shots, 8 of 15, and he was 8 of 8 at the line, did not miss a single free throw. The Suns missed 1 free throw all night long.
2.
They missed 2?
Yeah.
They missed 2 free throws all night long. And they went off from the 3-point line. Absolutely ballistic.
Right from the beginning of the game, like they were just gunning.
Bridges shot 3 of 9 from 3. I actually thought he shot better than that. I think all 3 of those were in the first half, and he started to go cold from the 3-point line. But that's the adjustment, right? He went cold from the 3-point line, started attacking. He had a big dunk. He had a couple layups, had a couple tips. He had a huge tip at in the fourth quarter to get another offensive rebound, give the Suns more time to burn. And that's the kind of the hustle plays you're looking for from your young guys.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Crowder and DeAndre Ayton both hit the glass hard, and it was near the end of the game, like halfway through the fourth when they pulled Giannis out, and them two were like Crowder and Ayton were just crashing the glass so hard, and that I feel like that's when the game was really cracked open.
They had like 6 or 7 offensive boards in the fourth quarter. If you're the Bucks, man, that's just heartbreaking.
If you're a Brook Lopez and you're that big and you're allowing that many offensive rebounds, what are you really doing at that point?
Yeah, no, exactly. Chris Paul didn't even have, up to the standards of this playoffs, he didn't even have a Chris Paul game tonight. And he shot 10 of 20, actually. He was really efficient, 23 points. But
what I noticed from throughout the game was the Suns really ran a three-ball game over the Bucks, just constantly going for the twos. I think they're still going for the same strategy they did the first game. And I don't know why they haven't realized it's not working.
I mean, in the first game, they shot a lot of threes, and they fell, and they weren't being aggressive. And then this game, they were being aggressive, and that's just tragic. 3-point shooting's not working. Attacking's not working. I don't know what's going to work for this team, but it looks like
Yeah.
I said 5 games before, and now it's looking more and more like a sweep. Berginder had that on lock when he called that before.
I just feel like the Bucks can go back home and maybe Middleton and some other guy gets hot.
Drew
But
Holiday needs to step up, man.
yeah,
Shank, do you
Yeah,
have
man.
the shooting splits for Middleton and Drew?
Yeah, dude. The today, like both players didn't shoot that well. I believe they were 12 for 37, which is like around 32%. That like, you can't have that back to back. Last game they didn't shoot that well. This game, they had
More
open
the
looks
same.
here and there, but it just didn't fall for these guys, man.
yeah.
They had 28 points on 37 shots. That is when your second and third best players combined for what $75 million,
Yeah.
they should be giving you at least 50 points, man. And they gave you 28 on 37 shots.
Yeah,
You're
it's
better off
tough,
just giving
man.
those shots to Giannis and letting him go to work. Like,
And
Can we
for
also
Drew,
talk sorry, you got it?
And for Drew, I feel like one of his biggest assets, or his biggest asset, is his defense. And he had a couple of like major slip ups on defense, which if the one thing you're good at, if this is one thing you're good at and you're not doing that, there's no point of you even being on the court at that point.
the issue there is that their other guard, DiVincenzo, he's not there. And they need him now, right now more than ever, because he's the perfect size to stay with Bridges. Whereas if they had Bryn Forbes in, you'd just get bullied.
Yeah.
And they
Okay.
just don't have that guy right now.
Okay, wait, but let's say DiVincenzo was out there. Would it have changed the Bucks offense completely?
Nope.
It wouldn't have changed the Bucks offense, but DiVincenzo, he plays with this level of confidence that Drew Holiday is just missing right now. And I'm not saying he'd play over Drew Holiday. He'd probably play over the other guys, Connaughton, who had a good game again. But DiVincenzo has a handle. He has the IQ. He has defensive chops. Like, they're missing DiVincenzo big time. They only lost by 10 points. That's something that we have to stress that even more. They lost by only 10 points tonight. They lost by 13 points last night or 2 nights ago. And they're in these games. They were down by 5 with, I have it here. They were down by 5 with 5 minutes left. Giannis sat for 25 seconds and the Suns went on a 7-0 run.
Oh yeah, that was definitely brutal.
Yeah, that's when
And
they got
then-
the
Man
offensive-
can't even have a break.
Man
Yeah.
couldn't have a break. And then a minute later, the Suns get 3 offensive boards. They score. The Bucks come down, get blocked. Suns come down again and score. Within those 2 possessions, they got 5 offensive rebounds. And they
Yeah.
got up 7 shots.
Mhm.
That
All
right
right.
there was the difference in the game.
There's also 2 injuries to the Suns. Torrey Craig, who at this point we don't actually know what his status is.
They
I
said
really hope
contusion.
nothing serious.
Contusion.
Hopefully
Okay.
it's nothing serious. They said contusion.
But then,
And then the other injury was Saric. We missed that because we did the podcast before the MRI was done. And afterwards we found out that Saric has a torn ACL. He's going to be out for more than a year. That is tough.
yeah, I
for
feel
Dario,
sad.
Prayers up, man.
Prayers. I think he's an unrestricted free agent. That just shot his income
Yeah.
in the knee, ironically.
Literally, yeah.
That is so tough.
Yeah, ACL
Heart
injuries
goes
are
out to him.
definitely-
He played. They need him too. That's the thing. Because right now, Kaminsky is a complete trash can.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I don't know. He's just, he also hasn't played that much in the game, so he's not
No,
really
but-
in a rhythm like that.
Realistically speaking, even from his experience on the other teams that he played on, he was always kind of just there. He didn't really have a presence.
Yeah.
And I don't think he played at all tonight, which is probably the right decision. They
I
played
think he
Torrey
played a couple
Craig, and then
minutes.
yeah, even if he did, those Sarge minutes went to Craig, and then Craig got injured too. So I'm curious to see who they're gonna play next game now.
Yeah.
They're running out of bodies.
Thankfully, they are deep, but let's see. I mean, they might end up getting spread really thin, and they don't have that many big men at this point because you can't
The
really rely on
advantage the
Kaminsky.
Suns have though is that they have a bunch of young bodies, Booker, Ayton, Cam Johnson, Bridges had a huge game, but those guys are all young. They have fresh legs, and I think that's going to be one of the biggest differences in the series compared to the Bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I feel like Suns, they just every time the game starts, they're going for the kill, you know? They're just the fire's there and they're just not going to stop.
Yeah.
The Bucks started off 17-5, I believe, and the Suns didn't trip about it. They came storming back. They finished the first quarter with the lead, and they had a stranglehold in the game after that. The rest of the game, I don't think the Bucks led once.
Yeah, I feel like it's literally all just Chris Paul just making sure that the team's confidence never wavers, making sure that they stick to the game plan, making sure that they're always in the right spots. It's
Team
just
leader.
Rather than a Suns thing, I feel like it's more on the Bucks for letting that lead drop because, like, if you look at the starters for the Suns, they like in total they scored 102 points, right? Just the starters, which is mind-blowing on its own.
Yeah.
But then you look at Milwaukee, you know, the starters only got 85 points, and almost half of that came from Giannis, right? Like,
yeah, I feel like you can't rely on Giannis that much, especially because he is still basically injured. And I feel like the amount he's pushing it right now is right to his limit. Like he might end up going over the edge and getting injured. And
knock on wood that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
I don't wish that on anybody.
Pray that doesn't happen. Nope.
I pray that doesn't happen.
But I'm saying like
he was holding his knee tonight too.
Yeah,
he was holding his knee on one of the plays, and then they pulled him out for 25 seconds, and they scored 7 points. 25 seconds.
But yeah, man, I don't know. I feel like Bucks fans, like, it's not over yet, mind you. Like Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, both are starters, and they had terrible shooting nights. But you know that might change in the home court advantage situation. So
for sure.
Yeah, we could see a lot more points coming from those guys next
And the
game.
Bucks,
so it's not over yet, but it looks pretty solid for the Suns right now.
It looks pretty dead in the gutter for the Bucks right now.
As I said, the Suns are going to sweep. They're going to go to Buck Stadium. They're going to win the champion right there. Call it.
If I'm Chris Paul, I don't care how many games I win it in. I just want to win and, you know, have that on my resume. Chris Paul could retire today and still be the top 5, maybe top 10 point guard.
Oh, after this, in my opinion, he might be top 3.
Top 3. That's
what I
was going to say.
Have to do a separate list for that, but yeah, like just everything, like all around, he's literally the perfect point guard. Defense, shooting, passing, literally everything you can ask from a point guard, he's giving you. Because if he's better than like players like Steve Nash as well, even though Steve Nash was an MVP, and Chris Paul's never been one, but Steve Nash never had the defense. Right?
Yep.
And Chris Paul's been an all-NBA defender
9 times.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, that's
very hard feat to reach.
That's a very hard feat to reach. His resume is just loaded, and the championship is going to be the greatest part of his resume.
Hopefully, he wins the MVP.
And I was about to say, he may take that. He may be the Finals MVP. After tonight's game, his average kind of dropped. So Booker has the points average on him right now, but everybody knows, every basketball person knows that Chris Paul is actually the most valuable player on that team.
Yeah, there's not even
he enables everybody.
They'd probably be the 8th seed if they didn't have Chris Paul, 8th or 7th seed, and they get knocked out in the first round, right? But just because they're in the finals.
I hear a lot of NBA people talking about how the Suns would have made the playoffs anyways because they were 8-0 in the bubble, whatnot. But
no finals.
No finals. Probably not even getting out of the first round. You lose to the Lakers.
Yeah.
You probably don't even play the Lakers because the Lakers were a bottom seed too. So.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. The CP3 effect, is real.
Yeah, especially on Ayton. Ayton's playing on a whole other level, and Lopez's inability to move on the pick and roll kind of enables Ayton even more. Ayton only had 10 points tonight, but there's a couple
plays. What they needed them to do, glass clean, right? So
protect the paint, clean the glass.
Yep, anchored their interior.
At the end of the day, Chris Paul just needs him to be a better DeAndre Jordan. And he's way better than that. And he's way better than that. He's not the level of rim protector, but he's a arguably a better rebounder. Rebounding percentage says he's a better rebounder. Mm-hmm. But offensively, man, when you can
and he got drip.
Yeah.
That's facts.
That's facts.
I have a question just for you guys as for the games these finals. Who do you think needs to step up, and who do you think is already stepping up?
Well, everybody on the
Bucks.
Suns is. I'm not gonna talk about the Suns here because they're winning. Everybody's stepping up.
Yeah.
On the Bucks, it has to be Drew Holiday because Middleton had a pretty good game last game. Drew Holiday, man, you cannot shoot 7 of 21 from the field. That is
Yeah.
just disappointing, man. After
And
everything they gave to get him, like they're really shooting themselves in the foot right now about not getting that Bogdanovich deal done
Oh yeah,
because that's
That
the
was-
guy they need right now to get some offensive creation, and
he could
he killed them in the last series.
He could have given them 20 points today. You know, you never know when he's gonna get hot, and when he gets
12
hot,
of,
he
12 of
just
37 from Chris Middleton. You're just wondering how many of those shots go to Bogdanovich and how many of those he makes, but it's not a world of hypotheticals, and they need Middleton and Drew to show up.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're going to. And even if they do, I feel like Chris Paul, Booker, and Ayton can match them. And then after that, the Suns have a deeper bench. So even if even if Middleton and Drew Holiday both step up, I still don't see them winning.
We're talking about Suns deep bench. We said that in the last podcast. We mentioned it multiple times in this podcast. And no disrespect to the Suns bench, but the Suns starters combined for 101 out of 118 points. That is just absolutely insane. And out of those 101, Bridges, Booker, and CP3 give them 81 points.
Yeah,
That's-
they matched the Bucks' like starters points.
Yeah,
Like,
just those three.
just
Just those
three.
three alone. That's where I'm saying Drew Holiday and Middleton have to give you more.
Mhm.
Because Giannis is gonna get burnt out the way he's playing. I don't know how many minutes he played tonight, but it was definitely too many. And even in those minutes, the amount of pressure that he was under is just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, he's got to play at least like 40 minutes today. He was on for a while.
Giannis played 40 minutes.
40
42.
minutes.
Oh, sorry, 40 on the dot.
Yeah, 40. That's too many for a person that's basically on
Well,
one leg.
I'm not gonna say it's too many because 2 years ago when you're playing against the Raptors, he had 36 minutes a game and everybody was saying he has to play more. But the circumstances are different. He just came off of an injury now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not the minutes. Maybe he should play 40 to 42 minutes a game. But in those 40 minutes, he shouldn't have to do as much as he did and still come up short as a team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is it's like almost kind of not the same because LeBron's always been the most dominant player in the entire league. But it's almost like watching LeBron with like the 2018 Cavs, just like barely getting anywhere. And then even when he
The
puts
team kicking and screaming to the finals. Giannis had in the third quarter 20 points. That is the greatest single quarter performance by a player in NBA history.
25
Yeah,
years.
the
Still
finals.
lost the game.
I think it was 25 years.
It was in 25 years.
Last
Regardless, 25 years. The only other players to get close to that were Kobe and LeBron. That's great company, and he beat them out for that
Yeah.
statistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man.
Anyways, to close out the pod, one big thing that I wanted to talk about tonight was Kyle Kuzma quote. I don't know if you guys heard it. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Oh, what came out with Bleacher Report?
What came up with Bleacher Report? Yeah. So Tyler Conway of Bleacher Report asked Kuzma if he thinks he can average 25. And I'm going to read out the quote here. The exact quote was, I definitely can. I definitely believe that too. I don't really care what nobody thinks or what nobody says. I know myself and I know my ability. And the big thing out of this quote was it has to be more consistent. It's hard to be to be consistent in an inconsistent role. Basically was calling out the Lakers and LeBron for not having him in a consistent space. And he said afterwards, I'm excited for a more consistent space next year. I don't know if he's talking about on the Lakers or
Off the
requesting a
Lakers?
trade on the low.
There's a
I
couple.
do you
think
guys
he
think?
is. I think he is. I don't know
First
if you
we-
guys remember, but like I think earlier this month, I might be overreading this, but apparently Kuzma took out the Lakers off of his Instagram bio. You know, that's some
Yeah, social media is
Raises some
always an
eyebrows.
interesting thing. Yeah. But
ends up on the Pelicans with the rest of his Laker boys.
first of all,
Yeah.
with the With the quote, I'm pretty sure he was. They mentioned it like averaging 25 points, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. The issue with that is, first of all, we've seen just like brain farts from him that someone who averages even 15 points doesn't make, right? And on top of that, I feel like he's had a consistent role. It's not the role that he wants, but his job
That's
is
the
to
role
hit
they
corner
need.
threes. Yeah, his job is to hit corner threes and play defense. Now, if you don't like that, you have to take that up with the team. But you can't say you don't have a consistent role, because you do.
And my biggest gripe about this whole thing is that he did it publicly instead of going to the front office, going to LeBron. Because LeBron is 36. He needs somebody to step up anyways.
Yeah.
And Kuzma could be that guy. I could see a world in where he's that guy. But after this quote, I don't think anyone in the Lakers wants him there anyways.
Yeah, I don't think
'Cause
he
that's
wants to
a-
be with the Lakers either, bro.
I think that relationship is dead, which is kind of crazy because when Kuzma was drafted, he seemed like, the prototypical Lakers six-man kind of guy
Mm-hmm.
with the flair, the gold hair, everything. He seemed like a Los Angeles kind of guy, and I think it's over now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like this year he's basically the Danny Green of the Lakers. Like, he's giving them what they're missing, I guess, in Danny Green. Just being dumb, making bad decisions, and missing shots.
I'm not even gonna cap. He had a good defensive year. He made strides on that end of the floor. He became a better rebounder.
Yeah.
He made improvements, but they need more. They expect more. And if you're
Yeah.
gonna come out and publicly, derail the team like that,
You can't.
I don't know what you
Yeah.
can do.
He's not staying. Let's be honest, because like LeBron's 37, gonna be 37. Like Lakers are win now.
Yeah.
You can't have
100%.
like. I feel like the biggest reason why they just kept Kuzma is because of his contract and everything. It's kind of hard finding a team for him.
Mhm.
That rather just keep him, right? But
Right
Yeah, I
now,
know.
I think he's up for an extension. So
The question is, though, what is he worth? He's not really worth anything in my eyes. I feel like he's worth is like a couple second-round picks, because
nah,
he hasn't
some
shown
teams
any.
would capitalize off of him because he has potential.
Yeah, he does.
Mid-range.
I mean,
that,
how
yeah.
much potential does he really have? He's what, 25 already, 26?
Is he?
Like he's
Yeah.
he's pretty set in stone. The most he could do is improve his handle, improve his jump shot, but that's a lot to ask from somebody who has been in the league for quite a couple. He was drafted in what, 2017, right?
Yep.
This is his fifth year in the league next year. I don't see where he's gonna go from here.
Because you see his contemporaries like Alonzo Ball. He literally completely changed his shot, and now he's playing great, right?
Yeah, really good 3-point shooter now, Alonzo.
Yeah, like literally, he's shooting 40% on 7 attempts a game. That's very good.
And he's out here talking about 25 points per game. And I know NBA players, they believe in themselves. All professional athletes, you have to
Yeah.
believe you can average 25. But
Yeah.
realistically speaking, from the outsider's perspective, his best stretch of basketball without Ingram, without LeBron, without all those guys, he averaged 19 points per game on poor efficiency. I don't know where the 25 is going to come from. And if you're going to if you're going to get 25 points, that's cool. But how many shots is it going to take? With Kuzma, it seems like it's going to take 25, 30 shots. And at that point, I'd rather have J.R. Smith
Yeah.
and Kyle Kuzma.
Yo, if Kyle Kuzma wants to average 25 points, he has to go to China, man. It's not happening in the NBA.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, but like at the same time, I'm not gonna like rip him for saying that just because
My
NBA players are
if an
supposed to-
interviewer asks you that as an NBA player, like you're not gonna be like, nah, I can't average that. Like you gotta own up. You gotta like at least make it seem like you're confident. in
Yeah,
yourself,
but you
right?
know, but what you can't do is call out your team, especially when you're a role player. If you're LeBron James, you can say whatever you want, right? Because you're the best player in the league. But you're a
Yeah.
role player. Kyle Kuzma's a role player. You can't just be like, oh, I need a better role. I need this, and like you can't ask for anything.
And
I don't know if
demand
it
it
was,
as
like,
if you're a
direct
star when you
shots.
don't show up.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I don't know
what
if
you
he was like. I don't think he was like directing exact shots. I do think he should have. I think he already talked to this team, but it sounds more like he's in a state of confusion. Like he doesn't really know what he is with the Lakers, which is fair, especially after this year's playoff run. Like, I feel like he's not even sure he's going to stay as a Laker anymore. It's a really weird period for him right now.
Lakers probably
But-
don't even want him.
They probably don't, and I mean, like, I wouldn't. They're a business, right?
Yeah.
He didn't play that well, and he did a lot of like. I think the biggest thing is he did a lot of stupid plays.
Yeah, just boneheaded plays.
Yeah, you can't have that, especially on a win now type of team. Your bench got to be as like not as good as your starters, but they got to be able to pick up the slack if the like starters are slacking.
And if they're not, if the starters are playing amazing, you got to keep it to that level.
Yeah,
That's basically what like. If you look at like the Warriors, they always had a bench that could play consistently and know their role, like Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston, players like that. The Lakers don't have that. The only person they have like that you could say is like Alex Caruso.
Yeah.
And then like Dennis Schroeder, he's played pretty much like garbage in the playoffs, and
man's asking for like 100 million or 120 million.
He's not getting that. He's not getting that.
This guy's tripping. No offense.
Nah. You have to say it because like you can't expect 100 million now. Like, you can't expect like I wouldn't even give him 10 million, honestly. Like
Lou Williams? He's never got paid 10 million per year.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying like per year, but like
Yeah. I don't know, man. The Lakers are in a weird spot right now, but like I'm pretty sure they're gonna be back next year. Not worried about them, but yeah, they gotta figure out some of those roster holes.
In other news from the finals, Chris Paul passed Kobe tonight for 10th in playoff assists.
Damn.
Wow. Good news.
Yeah.
Passing a GOAT.
And then we were talking about on the last pod how the viewership may go down. The viewership in the first two games is actually up 13% from last year's finals, which is kind of crazy to me considering last year was Heat versus Lakers.
Yeah.
And somehow people care more about the Suns versus Bucks series, which
small market teams for the win.
I think it's because it's not in a bubble.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I don't think the bubble had a huge effect on people's opinion. People didn't think it was real. They didn't believe that it was. What did they say? Asterisk on the Lakers championship.
Like
if anything, it was harder last year because you're away from your family. You're not.
That's the argument LeBron made.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
it's harder.
I think the reason why viewership was so low is like this sounds stupid, but like aesthetics, bro. The courts, like these guys couldn't really even have like home courts, right? So like there was no fans. It looked like a YMCA court. There was no all it said was NBA Finals and like YouTube TV, right?
Yeah, it looked like the draft combine or something.
And the sponsors too, but like there was no color. It was just it was kind of dull to watch, and it was a weird time as well. NFL's what's it called? The NFL schedule was, conflicting with the NBA's, so that also pulled viewers.
For sure.
So or pulled viewers away. My bad.
All right. The last crazy stat that I have for you guys before we close it out. The Phoenix Suns are in the NBA Finals, obviously. The last time the Suns were in the finals was with Charles Barkley in 1993.
Well.
Right? When the last time when the Phoenix Suns were in the NBA Finals, 10 of the current Suns players weren't even born yet.
That's an insane stat. And that just goes to show how the Suns really turned around their organization, man. They went from being like a laughing stock, and you have people like old grandmothers just ripping them apart, and it was hilarious, to now actually being in the NBA Finals, which is impressive.
Yo, shout out to Booker, for real. This guy stuck through those hard years, and it's finally like him and Chris Paul, like everyone on that team, like they're basically the NBA's like favorites at this. I feel like you can't go against the Suns, like everyone wants to see them
went
win.
From 17-65 a couple years ago to now getting Chris Paul, who said he wanted to go there. Chris Paul is one of the greatest point guards ever, and he said he wanted to go there. He goes there and they make the finals. Within 3 years, they go from 17-65 to the finals.
And they got some nice pickups, bro. Jay Crowder was like, see the Heat. I felt like the Heat should have kept him. I don't know.
The Heat, that was a huge loss for the Heat and a huge pickup for the Suns. And then another thing on the Suns, even next year, even if Chris Paul regresses a little bit, they're still going to be fine because players like Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and Ayton, they're going to improve, right? So I feel like they're going to be in a very good spot for the years to come.
They're going to be fun to watch. You're right, man. Same with the Bucks. Even if they lose this year, if they win, I'm not going to say nothing, but like, I really hope they learn from this year if they do lose. If they do, for all I know, I could be eating my words in like the next week. The Bucks win this, but like, yeah,
I
either
see
ways,
that.
both
It looks
teams.
like, and he has much better teammates. He has Middleton and Drew Holiday, but it seems kind of like it's a LeBron 2007 finals sweep where
Yeah.
the Western Conference is so deep. The teams are deeper. The teams are better, and they're just facing this deadly Western. Just
Yeah.
they don't have any answer right now.
Once again, statistically speaking, if home court players do shoot better, so I really hope this stat is true for the Bucks' sake. And yeah, I'm excited to see what happens game 3.
Yep.
All right. Until then,
All
it's
right.
been real. You guys have a good
Thanks.
night.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our podcast, Game 2 of the NBA Finals. We want to give a huge shout out to Kaizad Draws for creating our YouTube banner. Also, we want to give a shout out to Yash and Ryan Gaming for creating our YouTube thumbnails, and shout out to Vic.Ash for creating our music. We're going to leave all their IGs down below, so make sure you check them out. Also, like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and stay tuned for the UFC 264 recap pod next week.